Good. Thanks for having me on. It'll be interesting to see who can, I don't want to say right now, turn their season around, but who can stop the bleeding between the Saints and the Eagles, because I think kind of a playoff-type atmosphere if you're going to do anything going forward for the season.
No, listen, I agree. I mean, the last couple weeks, it's almost been a must-win.
Right.
And then you saw the Saints with an emotional win against the Cowboys, and the Eagles with a bad loss against Washington. So let me, right off the bat, I know you obviously, when you guys do the broadcast, you played the quarterback position a long time in the NFL. I don't want to talk about Drew Brees for a second. I want to talk about Sam Bradford. What have you seen in watching any film, or your thoughts on Sam Bradford right now? A guy coming off 2 injuries, a guy who looks a little, I don't want to say skittish, but at times a little rattled, a little nervous, coming off those injuries, not comfortable in the pocket. What have you seen?
Well, a lot of it's human nature. A lot of people wouldn't be comfortable. When you have a knee injury and you got to stand in there and take hits, now they protect the quarterback a whole lot better now than they did, let's say, 20 years ago with the rule changes. But I think Sam Bradford is an NFL quarterback. He has an NFL arm, but he's in the wrong offense. For Chip Kelly's offense truly to work at the highest level, where defensive coordinators are frustrated, they're burning the midnight oil to set up a defensive game plan, the quarterback has to run. In that system, to truly have a threat, when you're doing the read option, the quarterback has to be a threat with his feet. Now, I don't think Nick Foles was. I don't think Sam Bradford. And I say along these lines, now, I don't know if a young quarterback can check their ego at the door, but can you imagine on one team, and there's a handful of guys that have been in that scenario, the stars would have to be aligned. But if you had a Cam Newton and Colin Kaepernick on the same team, and you told them, I want you to be aggressive, and like you did in college, and just cause all kind of headaches for defense, because the quarterback has to be held, counted for as far as being a threat running.
Yeah.
And play aggressive, run, and then if you get beat up or something, then next guy up. But I don't know if the NFL is there right. Quarterbacks can actually do that. But I think the offense can work, but you have to have that threat running. And RG3 did it first year as a rookie with the Redskins, and he got too beat up. He wasn't playing, or running smart, I should say, at times. But I think the offense can work, but it'll never work at the college level unless you can continuously threaten the NFL defense throughout the season, because
Sure.
NFL defenses they're too good.
And they make adjustments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they make adjustments, especially the divisional games. So once you go through your divisional opponents, and look, I mean, these two teams to some semblance have a familiarity with each other a couple years ago in the playoff game. You said something that kind of made my ears perk up a little bit. You said in order for a guy like Bradford to succeed, Chip Kelly it's got to be a different offense. Chip Kelly is he's a guy that's pretty adamant. He's a big time control freak. He, by his own admission, said the other day during his press conference, the plays just aren't working. Now, to me, that was maybe a little telling of his hand that, hey, I have to be a little more flexible. If that's the case, they didn't give Sam Bradford the contract extension. He wanted to play out the year, just making $13 million. So Bradford's banking on himself, which if you're a quarterback, you have to believe in yourself. You played the position in the NFL. So from an organizational standpoint, hey, let's go see what he can do. 4 games through the season, and it hasn't panned out. With that being said, what if he still plays, if he turns it around and he's consistent and he plays good, and say they win 8-9 games, they sneak into the playoffs, are you still saying no matter what, this offense will not translate to success because they still don't have the right guy under center?
Well, it depends how you describe success. Having a winning team or winning championships. I mean, look, back-to-back seasons, the Eagles won 10 games, but what did they win? You didn't win anything. I think truly to be a world champ, to be Super Bowl champs, you'd have to have the likes of like Cam Newton, with that kind of ability. Like, he was a man amongst boys at Auburn when he was running that. Yeah. You have to be a threat running. I mean, when Sam Bradford sticks the ball in the running back's belly, why do you even have to worry about him running? No, you don't. And I think he is an NFL passer. He has an NFL arm. But the reason why there's always going to be a market to Sam Bradford. Now, I don't know, at 13, 14, 15 million, whatever, because there's never enough quarterbacks. They have too many teams and not good enough quarterbacks. You have 32 NFL teams, and you're always looking for sure for 10, if not a dozen guys we need a better quarterback. So there's a difference between being a superstar, franchise quarterback, and a legit starter.
Yeah.
Let's look where everyone, at times would hate on Andy Dalton in Cincinnati, but look what he's done so far.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not
supply and demand.
I know I'm not a big Dalton fan, but to piggyback your point, look at last night in the Texans game. Look at the Jets. Look at Cleveland. You're right. I mean, it is a quarterback-driven league, and it's kind of watered down.
That's why there's going to be a market for Drew Brees, even as old as he is. If his shoulder comes back, and I told Saints fans, you want Drew Brees to do awesome this year, even if it means another 500-year season, because the bottom line is you want some type of leverage and put it on the manager that make a tough decision. I don't think they could pay him no $30 million,
right?
Next year, but make a tough decision. Well, some team will want him. Can you imagine if you have a solid team, a good supporting cast, a quarterback like Drew Brees? I know he can win another Super Bowl. Look at the Jets. I don't know what Fitzpatrick is going to do, but look at that supporting cast. It's amazing. You have some teams that have that supporting cast, and they just need that quarterback. Well, right now, without Drew Brees, realistically, the Saints, let's say they are at best a 500 team, or without him, they win 4 games.
When you look at Drew Brees and that shoulder injury, and we saw the mechanics and how last year you saw a little more flexibility in that rotator. He's got that arm strength, but again, this playing quarterback, sometimes when you have that injury, it's limited, and you really can't do anything. Washington was able to do a lot of check downs, a lot of quick hits against the Eagles. If you're the Eagles defensively, Brees can't really go down the field anymore. And look, the loss, obviously, of Graham is huge, but you got to rely on guys like Cooks, like Colston, the veteran, like Snead, like maybe Spiller sneaking out of the backfield. If you're the Eagles defensively, do you just sit back on your heels and say, go ahead, try to go down, get a vertical game passing on us? It's not going to happen, and you rush 4 down linemen.
Well, you have to. What you have to do is just squat and see if Drew Brees can get the ball downfield. Now, what you have to realize, Drew Brees never had a strong arm. Him, it's all about anticipation and accuracy.
Smart quarterback.
I remember even talking with Steve Young about this. We're at the Pro Bowl, and this is going back to 1994, and it's all about anticipation. Realistically, if you look at the flight of a ball in the air, you can get by, make long throws like 45, 50 yards. And I know Drew Brees is still capable of doing that, so I think he's going to pick and choose when he's going to go downfield. But when the fans say, like, he lost arm strength, he can't throw the deep ball, where he never had a strong arm. It's all about accuracy and anticipation and how he spreads the ball around. Worst case scenario, you look at Drew, every game, at least 8 different receivers have a reception. Sometimes it's as high as 10 or 11.
Sure. So
he's still smart enough to know and do what it takes to win. I just don't know if the Saints have the supporting cast when you even consider, the defense and what they're expected to do. If they can just be middle of the pack, we have hope, that being the Saints fan base. But right now they're playing a lot of young players, rookies on defense who are making plays, and there might be some light at the end of the tunnel, but the window of opportunity with Drew because of his age, I don't know. All of a sudden these guys are developing 3 or 4 years down the road, and Drew's not available.
I know Saints have the rookie linebacker playing out of his head, and conversely, the Eagles' offensive line. And I know the Saints' offensive line a little banged up. The Eagles' offensive line is just in disarray. It's a mess, and it's almost a mash unit at times, hoping that Peters is going to go, Lane Johnson. This was on Chip Kelly to let go guys that were bookends of the line and not address it during the draft, and it's biting them in the butt right now, especially with a quarterback who's really been under fire, under the gun. You saw that last drive against Washington. Washington was able to get that penetration. They blew by the offensive line for a couple late sacks in that one. How about that matchup, the Saints defensive front and the Eagles offensive line?
Well, they have number 1 sack getter in NCAA football last year, Kakaha, from University of Washington. He's a player. he's had 3 straight games where he's had a sack. Along with Stephon Anthony, he looks legit out of Clemson, looks like the number 1 pick. But to me, that they get exploited in pass coverage, and that's where you can take advantage of them. Now, really, always look at any team. Look at any roster, NFL roster, and you look at all your players and say, okay, how many other NFL teams want these players? Like, and then I look realistically because of experience. And you look, injuries come into play, but Cam Jordan is an every down defensive end. Now, fans wish he'd get more sacks, but he is stout against the run. He's a every down defensive end. So you just look at how many players you have on your roster like that. Now, can the secondary finally all come together? Consider all the money you've had invested in Jarvis Bird. I mean, the fans are on here to say, what, he's stealing money, $26 million guarantee. Well, what has he done? You know, they need Jarvis Bird, along with Kenny Vaccaro, another young, promising safety, young guy coming up, and Keenan Lewis, Brandon Browner, he gave up this. I don't know if I've ever seen this. In the Carolina Panthers game, he gave up 4 receptions of 35 yards or more because he was used to playing with the Seahawks and against their Patriots defense getting a pass rush.
Sure.
When the rush don't get there,
that's right.
He was getting
torched.
burnt.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned.
and he's probably thinking like, "Whoa, I know I got a good contract with the Saints, but like, whoa, I'm getting shellacked every week."
Now, and you mentioned Jordan, good-looking kid, 4th or 5th year out of California, and you mentioned guys stealing money. You know, in our backyard, everyone's looking at the money that Byron Maxwell has made, and I keep telling the listeners and the callers, listen, he was just a product of the marketplace. Yeah, they gave him $63 million, but it doesn't mean he's a $63 million cornerback DB. And you're right. It starts. What happens is it starts to rear its ugly head. I know I got you only for a couple more minutes. I want to get one more quick thought on the Eagles with you, and then I want to ask you a quick little question or two, wrap around with the NFL. Again, a couple minutes with former Saint Bobby Hebert. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2. There's already speculation, and it's lazy journalism at times, but you know this, you're on the air as well. You still talk about it, you bring it up. Do you foresee any situation where if it doesn't pan out with the Philadelphia Eagles and Chip Kelly gets frustrated because, again, he believes in the system, he believes that he can plug guys in anywhere. It's the old, I can just bang that square that square peg in a round hole. If it doesn't pan out this year, and I'm talking winning a division, winning a playoff game, do you foresee any instance where he says that's it and goes back to college?
I think it'd be more after the 2016 season.
Okay.
I think by having back-to-back, winning season where you get the 10 wins, because that's hard to do in the NFL, and that's a great accomplishment. But even here in New Orleans is Sean Payton.
Yep.
Look, Mr. Benson, he's almost 90 years old. He's so thankful that Sean Payton, Nicky Loomis, they won a Super Bowl. So he's not in any hot seat, even if they wouldn't have success. Now, next year, he might be on the hot seat. And I think that would be the same case with Chip Kelly. But you have to realize that, look, even Sean Payton, they're ready to build a statue of him after, he won the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And 5 out of the last 9 years, they've had the number 1 offense. They fell out of the top 10 now. They're back in the top 10 at number 6. So, I mean, you got to watch what you're wishing for, but it's hard to stay in one place.
Yes.
Even the great Vince Lombardi.
That's right.
He went from the Packers to the Redskins.
Yep.
You look at any coach. The only coach that lasted forever, I say forever in NFL terms, was Jeff Fisher because it was 2 different cities.
Yeah.
He went from Houston to Nashville, the Oilers, the Titans. So about that 9-10-year window, I was with Coach Mara. An unbelievable success here as far as us finally having winning seasons, winning 10, 11, 12 games. But the run's kind of like 9-10 years. Look, Andy Reid. Andy Reid leading the Eagles. He didn't forget how to coach. Somebody was going to give him an opportunity, and he's in Kansas City. So, listen, it's always every year, 6, 7 coaches because everybody wants to win.
That's right.
But everybody
win now.
Win.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think right now, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Chip Kelly, that I think it'd be more, not this season, but 2016. Got
about 30 seconds, and we've got to wrap it up. Last one for you. Who's playing at a higher level right now, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, that's like flip a coin. That's like 1 and 1A. But let me tell you, Tom Brady got skins on the wall, but purely from a quarterback's perspective, Aaron Rodgers might be the best ever.
Yeah.
How he could flick it, how he can spin it. I'm telling you, that's – I've seen him as far as extending plays and being accurate with the football. The guy who I guess who threw a prettier ball as Aaron Rodgers, I'd have to say, and he played till he was 42 years old. I don't think he ever threw a duck. Was Warren Moon?
Sure.
You know, they can spin it, and that's what I look at Aaron Rodgers. But hey, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, don't. The Eagles are a number of teams that wish they have that kind of stability at quarterback.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either one. Bobby, always a pleasure, my friend, catching up. Hopefully have a good trip up here. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk as the season progresses, my friend.
All right, take care. Who dat?